Who was that? Their aura was incredible. A tall and thin young man asked as he cast his gaze toward the summit of the giant golden peak with an excited expression. You were only just assigned to the Dawn Void Palace, so it's no surprise that you don't know of him. That was Shu Yunping, the 5th disciple of the Dawn Void Immortal Lord, one of the older servants replied. Master Shu seems to become more powerful every time I see him. Another servant with a pair of bushy eyebrows mused. I heard that Master Shu has been cultivating in seclusion for a long time, attempting to break through the mid-high zenith stage bottleneck. Now that he's come out of seclusion, I presume he's already made the breakthrough. However, he doesn't seem to have consolidated his cultivation base yet. Otherwise, there would be no spillage of spiritual pressure, the older servant said. I heard that Master Shu has only been a disciple of the Dawn Void Immortal Lord, yet he's already reached the mid-high zenith stage. If we had even 100th of his aptitude, we wouldn't be stuck here, the servant with the bushy eyebrows sighed. Master Shu ascended from a lower realm, so it's no surprise that he possesses exceptional aptitude. Even among the Dawn Void Immortal Lord's disciples, he ranks near the top in terms of aptitude, so he's certainly far beyond us. The older servant sighed with a self-deprecating expression. After that, they began busying themselves with their respective duties again. Meanwhile, the streak of white light descended in front of the palace on the summit of the giant golden mountain, then faded to reveal a golden-robed young man. He possessed a pair of handsome features, most notably of which were a pair of bright eyes and sharp brows, and there was an aura of sharpness about him. On either side of the palace stood a guard clad in golden armor, and the skin on their faces was giving off a metallic sheen. Is my master inside? The golden-robed young man asked. He is, one of the armored guards replied. The golden-robed young man nodded in response, then made his way into the palace and passed through a few corridors to appear in a side hall. The hall was completely empty, with the exception of a silver-raised platform, upon which stood a golden chair. A purple-robed, middle-aged man was seated on the chair with his legs crossed. He had a dark complexion, and there was a powerful air of authority about him. At this moment, his eyes were tightly shut, and bursts of purple light were emanating from his body, which was enshrouded within a cloud of faint purple mist. The entire hall was also enveloped within a burst of strange power, and as the man breathed, the purple mist pulsed rhythmically, while the space within the hall trembled and buzzed, as if everything in the hall were in his control. A hesitant look appeared on the golden-robed young man's face, but he still gritted his teeth to muster up his courage as he declared, "Disciple Shu Yunping pays his respects to his master." The purple-robed man's eyelids fluttered slightly before springing open, and he cast a bright and piercing gaze toward the golden-robed young man, who shuddered involuntarily as his complexion paled slightly. The bright gleam in the purple-robed man's eyes quickly faded, and his aura also became restrained as he asked, "Is there something you need from me, Yunping?" "Master, I just received news from the Northern Glacial Immortal Palace, informing me that Palace Master Shenan had ventured into the infernal Frost Immortal Manor, but they suffered extremely severe losses, with Xiao Jinhan and several Golden Immortal Stage Elders perishing in the Immortal Manor," Shu Yunping reported. The purple-robed man's expression remained completely unchanged as he asked, "Oh, if I recall correctly, Xiao Jinhan was at the pinnacle of the Golden Immortal Stage. How did he die?" After receiving this news, I immediately sent out people to investigate, but only a small handful of the Immortal Palace's cultivators managed to return from the infernal Frost Immortal Manor alive, and none of them knew exactly what had happened. However, Xiao Jinhan had been attempting to unite the Northern Glacial Immortal region for a long time, and as a result, a lot of tension had arisen between him and the other major powers of the Immortal region. So I presume his demise must have had something to do with them, Shu Yunping replied. I've heard about what Xiao Jinhan had been doing recently. While it's true that he was a little too aggressive, he was still a representative of our heavenly court, and his death cannot be tolerated. Send someone to the Northern Glacial Immortal region to investigate this matter right away. Find all of the people who contributed to his demise and have them all killed. The authority of the heavenly court is not to be challenged," the purple-robed man declared as a cold look appeared in his eyes. "I've already sent people to the northern glacial immortal region to investigate this matter, and I'm sure an outcome will arise soon," Xu Yunping replied. "Good. Make sure to get to the bottom of this," the purple-robed man said. "I'll do my best, Master. Also, I have something else to report to you," Xu Yunping said. "What is it?" the purple-robed man asked. "I heard that immortal envoy Gonshu of the Immortal prison also entered the infernal Frost Immortal Manor to pursue some members of the Reincarnation Palace, but he also seemed to have met his demise in there," Xu Yunping said. "Gongshu? Are you referring to Gongshu Ju from the Gongshu clan?" the purple-robed man asked as he raised an eyebrow. "That's right," Xu Yunping replied. "Gongshu Ju wasn't particularly powerful among immortal envoys, but he was still a high zenith stage Jade Immortal, so there shouldn't have been anyone in the northern glacial immortal region capable of killing him. Is the Reincarnation Palace behind this?" the purple-robed man asked as he rose to his feet. "At this point, those details are still unclear, but we would have surely found out had the Reincarnation Palace sent a high zenith cultivators into the northern glacial immortal region. Should I send out some people to investigate this matter as well?" Xu Yunping asked. "There's no need for that. The Immortal prison has always acted as an independent entity, so they'll be sure to send someone to investigate this matter, and there's no need for us to get involved," the purple-robed man said. "Yes, Master," Xu Yunping replied. "You did very well in taking care of this matter. The northern glacial immortal region is under my jurisdiction, so it must not be allowed to descend into chaos. Go and arrange for a new palace master to be selected as soon as possible," the purple-robed man said. Xu Yunping promptly departed after extending a parting salute, while the purple-robed man paced slowly back and forth in the hall with a contemplative look on his face. Moments later, he suddenly stopped in his tracks, then vanished from the hall amid a flash of purple light. Across the sea to the southwest of the Upper R continent was an even larger continent called the Primordial Edge continent. The eastern region of the continent was riddled with countless mountains, littered throughout, which were innumerable dense forests and other perilous terrains. With very cities present, close to 100,000 kilometers inland from the east coast was a cliff that was over 10,000 feet tall and stretched for millions of kilometers, acting as a natural wall that sprawled over the continent from its north to its south. It was still the same continent, yet it was as if the land had been sliced into two here. Above the cliff was a vast oasis, yet below it was a boundless desert. Atop the cliff was a city that stretched for tens of thousands of kilometers, like a resting black dragon. And there were passes that were filled with restrictions and beacon towers positioned strategically along the city. Even with all these passes and beacon towers, there was only one city on the border, and it was called Primordial Origin City. Close to nightfall, the sun in the sky had already set below the city wall, but its warm radiance could still be seen extending over the horizon, basking the cold, black city walls in a layer of gentle warmth. In the vast desert at the foot of the cliff to the west of the city, the sand was glowing gold under the light of dusk, and aside from the sound of the gentle breeze blowing through the area, there were no other sounds to be heard. In stark contrast, on the other side of the city wall stood a massive city that was hundreds of kilometers in size. The city was filled with streets and alleys, as well as buildings of different description. And even though it still wasn't nighttime yet, the city was already brightly lit. Due to how enormous the city was, aside from the central region of the city, which was relatively well planned out and organized, the rest of the city sprawled out toward the east in a completely disorganized and haphazard fashion. At this moment, there were two figures, one tall and one short, slowly walking alongside one another on the ancient path leading toward the outskirts of the city. The shorter of the two figures was a little girl who appeared to be 8 or 9 years old, wearing a festive little red coat with embroidered golden edges. She was holding 3 tanghulus as she walked beside a tall man dressed in an azure robe. The man was none other than Han Li, while the little girl was Jin Tong. The first stop on the map that Worm 3 had given him was the same location that Taoist Huyan pointed out to him, and after arriving in Primordial Origin City, Han Li decided to gather more information before he made a decision on how he was embark on this journey through the primordial land. "Why do I have to conceal my cultivation base, Uncle?" Jin Tong asked with a puzzled expression while munching on a Tang Hulu. "Your late golden immortal stage aura will attract too much attention here," Han Li replied as he cast his gaze toward the edge of the city. "Isn't that what we want? It would be great if we could lure a few golden immortals into attacking us, and after we kill them all, I'll have more snacks to eat. I've constantly been feeling hungry recently," Jin Tong said in an excited manner. "Our top priority right now is to leave the northern glacial immortal region, so you're not allowed to cause any trouble. Otherwise, I'll wear you on my finger as a ring instead of allowing you to follow me in your human form." Han Li warned with a serious expression. "Don't do that." Fine, I'll behave." Jin Tong sighed in a reluctant voice. As the two of them were speaking, they had already arrived in the outer city of Primordial Origin City.